I suffer from my art. Now it's your turn.
Sai doesn't know that I've caught him fiddling around on the piano. He has no idea. He can't hear me because he doesn't have his cans on. So we're getting a little sneak peek. A little sneak peek at Cyril working on a piece of music, which is great because this is totally candid. Hope he's going to spot me any second. We were spying on you.
All right.
I was spying on you.
You were?
Yeah, because I thought it'd be nice to give our guests a little sneak peek at the composer composing without, being aware that he's being watched.
Yeah, well, that was that moment then.
Unfortunately, it was just about 15 seconds worth.
Okay, good. That's about it.
No, it's not good because it would have been nice to have a little more of that.
Sorry.
I feel like a peeping Tom. Did I cross a boundary there? I mean, to be fair, your camera was on.
No, I left it on, but you look like a peeping Tom.
I do. Thank you.
Ooh, and it's a birthday week too, isn't it?
Let's not talk about that.
Yeah, the big 6-0 coming up for Douglas.
No, it's bad.
Happy birthday week, dear boy.
Thank you. I mean, I guess.
Did you buy yourself a new watch for your present?
Yeah, we were, Sai just sent me an interesting text that said we're prisoners of, what did you say? How did you say it?
I said you've been taken techno prisoner.
Techno prisoner, because I have, he sent me an article this morning, an interesting article. And I just happened to be fiddling with my watch, and unbeknownst to me, it sent kind of a shitty response of like, what, with a question mark, as if like, why are you bothering me with this?
Yeah, I was.
And of course, I didn't send that intentionally. It happened. It's, along the lines of like an ass dial. So, it's interesting. A text message could ruin a friendship. Yeah,
I mean, it just sent me off down a different path that led me to go, well, F you, what? I'm going to start playing the piano.
Like, I mean, that's a douchey response to something that you're sending me that you find interesting.
Yeah.
And of course, as soon as I saw it, I was horrified and blamed it on my watch, which is true because I did not send that response, and I'm not sure. On the watch, if you get a text, it gives you these canned responses, and you can very easily trigger them, accidentally. So.
Yeah, well, we've all just been programmed with canned responses.
Well, I mean, how many times, man? The other night I was on my phone. It was like 3 a.m. I couldn't sleep. And of course, you're not supposed to pick up your phone and start doom scrolling because it's the worst thing you can do. But I did it, and I accidentally butt dialed my one of my assistants who mixes over at the show at 3 a.m.
Wow.
And then, I had to quickly texting, I'm sorry, that was a mess. It's just, I don't understand how that happens on something like a smartphone.
Yeah, they're not so smart. There should be some safety.
How a smartphone can make us look so stupid.
I mean, in the end, like, what you're saying, canned responses, we're programmed with, our facial expressions vary from happy to sad to sort of, and then there's all these like varying shades of attention or backstory going on, like a Woody Allen movie where what he's really thinking is ticker taping across the bottom. And our faces do that. And I think we're so like hyper aware of what the other person's thinking whilst we're looking for a reaction. At least I know I'm probably prone to this more than anything because I'm just, as I've said before, an attention-seeking missile. So I'm like, oh, what do you think of me? I'm going to say something interesting. I've got to hold. No, don't turn away. I remember when we first started off as a band, we used to play this pub in the East End of London, the kind of place where you had to check your iron pipe on the way in.
Oh, great.
You know, in case after a few beers you felt a bit like touchy-feely. And there'd be these 4 massive brick house dockers. They were there every week, but they never turned around to look at us
No.
on stage. And it got me thinking, why was the landlord booking us? Later found out because we were the only idiots stupid enough to take a gig there.
Yeah. You were just at their local, right?
Yeah.
Is that what it was? Yeah.
But I remember one week, one of the guys turned around and that was it. Attention-seeking missile was born. He turned around. He reacted to something we did. And I always think of him now when I'm writing a song as would I get broad back docker bastard to turn around and notice any song or something about the song.
Were you thinking of him as you were noodling at the piano just now when I caught you candidly?
Yeah. You know what the title of that song was? It
The
was
one you were
called,
just working on?
No, the one that got the big shit brick house guy.
What was it?
To turn, it was called You're Hanging the Wrong Man. And it was based on a story. James Hanratty was the last man to be hung in England by the system, wrongly so. And so, of course, they had to change the law after that. But you think about this guy, he must have known a few people that were worth hanging, or maybe he even hung one at lunchtime. Who knows?
Hard to imagine you guys playing those kind of gigs. I mean, every musician has.
Yeah.
I certainly have played my share of those, more of those than anything else.
Yeah. That's when you start that battle with rejection.
Yeah.
And your inner demons is, how long are you going to face this bullshit before you get noticed? But the bullshit is actually in your own mind. You're like there's demons laughing at you and you're laughing at yourself and, the whole imposter thing that we go on about. And you're like, you just go, just give me 5 seconds. And
I don't remember laughing. I remember one particular gig. We had switched. We were a band that had played a lot of classic rock. We did a Pink Floyd tribute.
Oh, yeah.
And we were really popular with the Vanners and biker conventions and things like that. And, we did all Jay Giles, Pink Floyd, mainstream rock, classic, would now be considered classic rock. And we switched our format to modern music. We went to Fix, Depeche Mode, early synth pop.
Yeah, yeah.
And the stupid agents continued to book us at these parties where we had been playing Pink Floyd. And I just remember one group of bikers came up to the front of the stage, turned their back to us and held the middle finger up.
Oops.
While we were playing, I think we were playing like Iran or something.
I think that same guy was at one of our gigs because I recognized that finger.
I just remember screaming at the agent going, dude. Yeah. And there's, of course they're yelling Pink Floyd. It was, those are the trials and tribulations I think that every up and coming musician goes through.
Yeah. You couldn't make a living doing other people's music in England. Just wasn't
really.
It just wasn't. I mean, maybe it was, but the kind of bands, those were what we called show bands who would all have matching suits on and they'd all be playing the latest hits, top 40 bands. And they were very popular in the Irish clubs. But for the grind for us, it was this, we were just following the punk trail, in the 70s, you'd had that whole thing. But I remember going to the pub, the Golden Lion in Fulham, where you'd see lots of pretty cool bands coming up. There was a band called No Dice back then that were really good, but they never quite broke through.
Playing original, that's interesting because it was, in the States, we had those bands with the matching suits. We called them lounge bands.
Yeah.
Or show bands, but they typically played the lounge circuit, the Ramadas, the Holiday Inns. And in those days, every hotel had a showroom of some kind in a lounge band. And then you had the rock circuit, which was what I was in, which was the rock clubs, but it was still cover music primarily. We did get to a point at one time where we were doing a set of covers and a set of originals and getting away with it.
Yeah, you had to
and then the band
imploded.
Right?
I guess if you're an owner of a bar, it's a fine balance between how much you're going to pay the guys to play music whilst people are handing money over the bar to buy drink.
Right.
And if you're making more on the drink than you're paying the band, you're in business.
Well,
But
as long as you kept people engaged and as long as they were dancing, and we had developed a following over a number of years, and so they stayed for our original music. And had they not, we wouldn't have been allowed to do it, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But
I mean, there's a lot of things different. Sorry, I cut you.
Yeah, no. I was just going to follow that up with saying, like, anyone that's ever visited Las Vegas and been to Fremont Street or any of the lounges here, it's all cover bands.
Yeah.
And they're really good.
They are.
And it's slowing down a bit now, but years ago, I knew this guy in New York, and he said he was moving to Vegas, and he had gotten a gig. He had an Irish rock band. They played at the French Patty down below my apartment. I don't know if you were ever
Black
there.
47 were they called?
No. I know those guys, but this was just a duo, a guitar player and a fiddle player, and they played at the bar right under my apartment in Greenwich Village. And you may have hung out there a lot, so I don't know. You might have seen them, but they ended up. I'm like, why are you going to Vegas? And they're like, in those days, they were playing 6 days a week, sometimes 4 to 5 sets. They were making really good money. Yeah. The casinos were putting them up, so they were living rent free. So over the course of 5 or 6 years, that same guy bought up a bunch of properties and became a landlord and worked himself out of that circuit. But my point to this is, in those days, you could come to Vegas and be in a cover band and buy a house.
Yeah.
Like there was that much work and there was that much money to be made. Now I think it's probably a little bit harder, especially
not like me. I went
home
to Vegas.
Prices.
I went to Vegas and lost the farm.
What, gambling?
No. Getting divorced. This is getting cut, this bit. So, what was I going to say? But
I don't know. I'm sorry. We're interrupting each other. I had too much coffee.
Yeah, Green Valley Ranch, Henderson, where you live.
It's right down the street. Beautiful place.
The Ovation Room. We played that gig right after we got back from the first Everest trip. And then we went off to, there was an Irish pub in that hotel too, an Irish bar.
It's not there anymore.
And there was a fantastic Irish band in there with a brilliant fiddle player. This girl was, she was so good. I went up, said, you got to give me a number.
I wonder if it's the same people from New York.
I don't know, but they were schooled. I mean, they were.
Yeah, no, these guys were great. They started at New York in the Irish pub there. And then I think they moved around a bit. But it was a girl fiddle player.
Yeah.
From Cleveland.
She rocked it.
Yeah.
And she's really sold herself well. Yeah, anyway, so it's a week. So the other thing, talking about how you came up as in America, you can be in a cover band and make a good living. And, if you're lucky, which American musicians have way better chops than English musicians to begin with.
Is that true? Why? I don't know, man. Eric
Clapton, we just
Jeff
have
Beck,
a really original fudge that we put around things.
Jamie
and then
West Orham. I mean, I just named 3 of the best guitar players in the world.
Okay, all right. Well, you proved me wrong.
I'm sorry. I'm not trying to prove you wrong in front of our audience. I'm just.
Yeah, no, I know. I'm not belittling the English talent. I was just going to say that the spark of originality comes from something a little bit outside of the norm, and the chemistry. But also, the other thing that I was thinking about this week is, when I was a kid, or even but to the time I came to America for the first, I'd never seen a gun, a real gun.
Oh, wow.
In real life, like right in front of me. And I remember going on that same tour that I went to Captain Frank's at one time. I remember going to a Walmart or a Kmart and seeing a load of guns for sale. And I thought, my arse nearly dropped to the floor out of nerves. I felt like, God, this is like an armory in a department store.
Yeah.
It freaked me out. And then I started thinking, we had this guy who played in the band for like 5 minutes, Alfie Aegis, who'd lived in America. And he said something.
The blonde-haired guy.
No, not the blonde. That was Chris Tate. This is before him.
Okay.
He's actually playing on some of the Reach the Beach album.
What did Alfie play on? Did he replace Dan?
Dan replaced him.
Hmm.
But he had amazing chops. But he said one thing to me. He goes, in England, people can have a conversation in the street and really get into it and punch up because they can carry their emotions in their sleeve because they know they're not going to get shot at if the argument goes south. Whereas in America, you've always got to be like wary of the guy carrying a gun. And if he loses it, it escalates very quickly and then it's too late. And so that is the difference between like the have a nice day with that, what we were talking about at the very beginning, that sort of fake have a nice day look. You've got to paste out your good intentions. Have a nice don't fucking shoot me day.
Well, I also would hope that that possibility keeps things from escalating in the first place. Like, in a place like Vegas, I just assume everyone's got a gun in their car. And so I avoid, before I let my temper get the best of me in a road rage situation or something like that, I pause to go, you see this stuff in the news all the time. And
I don't know. I wouldn't trust.
But, hasn't England gotten kind of stabby? Isn't knives?
Yeah. Especially the zombie knives.
Yeah.
As there's been this whole rage because we have a high, there's a big connection to Africa. It's not just, the black world is fed from the root of Africa, and there's a lot of these zombie killing knives that became a thing, and the young kids. So now they're having I see that Ezra Elba, whatever his name, guy, the actor.
Oh, right.
Him and standing next to the Prime Minister starting a thing about no stabbing. It's like, no shit, Shylock. It's like,
would you rather be stabbed or shot?
Me, I'd rather be let go.
No, I'm just saying, like, you have to pick one.
Neither. But
yep, that's not an option, Cyril. You have to pick one. Stabbed or shot.
I think I'd rather be stabbed because I have cut my finger before, and I know. And I've had operations, had my appendix out, so that was kind of stabbed under anesthesia.
I suppose it depends on the bullet. Like, is it a 9mm or a 22?
If it's in my head.
It's a terrible choice to have to make, but
it's awful, man. And then what else was I thinking about? It's like, so you've got that conversation thing, and then where you end up spending. We live in a world where everything is swinging left to right, and we're not talking about politics, though. Today is the big debate.
It is
where the cards are going to fall after this, But as this pendulum is swinging, I kind of focus on the fact that pendulum is hanging on a thread. Hey, I'm a lyricist. I'll use that. Beg, borrow, and steal. But as that pendulum swings from left to right, in my mind, I try and think about that thread and shoot up the thread and get my mind clinging on to this middle point so that the extremes, I see them and I see how far they go from my thinking, but I stay centered. And it's almost like being on a crow's nest too, on a boat. You're like trying to see the horizon. The boat is in the storm down below and you're like rocking crazy. That's the opposite of the pendulum. All of a sudden you're in the most movement part of the physics, and you're swinging around and you're feeling seasick, but you're focusing on this horizon. So those are two diametrically opposed analogies of trying to stay sane. And getting back to stabbing and shooting, there's whoever's thinking about where this rip and divide is taking us, and who feels that going out to shoot someone because they don't agree with you, that those seeds are out there. There are people polishing in their bloody metal dicks in order to go and justify their short thinking as we speak. And I find that really scary. And then you got twats with all the money. Like,
most of the shootings, and there's a lot. And look, the guns are already out there, so I don't know what you do. And it's a hot topic, obviously, in this country. But most of all of those shootings stem from mental illness, and not so much,
that's coming from the food.
Opposing political viewpoints. I'm not saying it couldn't happen. Of course, it's happened throughout the course of American history and history in general. But it's a terrible situation, and you say mental illness, but
sanity is just an agreed form of madness today because
Yeah, there is a
we all know better and we know what we should, could, are possible. But then when you've got like, what's that guy's name? He's comes from a deer gland.
comes from a what?
It comes from a deer gland, that product. What do deers spray on trees to sort
Oh,
of
I don't know.
musk?
Oh,
That guy.
you mean the hunting stuff that they
Yeah,
use?
the hunting stuff. But deer, it's a natural attractant for deers.
Hmm.
And you got that guy, the guy, the
Well,
guy,
yeah, I know.
and he should know better. Is he mentally perplexed? We probably all are, but
It's interesting because I've had this conversation. This sort of brings up our last guest, Megan, who was tremendous. Not to imply that she's mentally ill or going to shoot up
yeah,
something, but we were talking about everyone is on some sort of a spectrum, and everyone is varying levels of sane and crazy, and seemingly at a moment you can be triggered and a seemingly normal person can be pushed over the edge.
yeah.
Um,
The
so
product of free thinking, eh? You
yeah,
just
well,
let
and
everyone go.
I think it's also a product of just too much information, man.
Yeah,
Too much coming at. I mean, we've spoken about this other times. Just the constant barrage
yeah.
and social media amplifying it in ways that these young kids are being ostracized because they're not this, they're not that. They're looking at somebody's highlight reel and thinking their life is shit.
Yeah.
And then all of these different trends and TikTok trends and different social media trends and things like that can further alienate a person, and make them feel more isolated and
Yeah.
alone and angry or sad.
I mean, we all know that this is going to end in way bigger tears than we're already crying currently. You could just see it. It's the insanity is brewing, and we're going to end up calling freedom because we were that dumb to think that everything let free would. They used to say that, just let it happen and it'll stabilize. Even my old man used to say, never underestimate human intelligence. And most people would say, never overestimate human intelligence, but it would land in the middle. Today, I wonder, so many people actually suffering anxieties that become phobias, that become, and then is anger just another form of fear? And does that fear then rush you off to Kmart to buy a bloody gun like Prozac? I don't take Prozac. I got a gun in my pocket instead. That kind of takes care of my fear, but it doesn't really
Well, look,
amplifies it.
there's one of our political parties, the foundation of their entire campaign is fear.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it is. Like it's doom, gloom. This is going to happen if you don't, and you know, before social media, before the internet, that could only spread so far. And
Sure.
now it's in everybody's hand at all
Yeah.
times. So
You end up now with both parties being fearful of the other party.
well, yeah. And both extremes are scary. So, I
mean, whoever wins, we've taken our eye off the fact that they will have to lead the 100%, even though they may only get 50% of the vote. That it's the 50% that didn't vote for you that you have to appeal to. It's like us when we go out on tour. We're preaching to the converted, but we sure would like some new fans to come in and discover our music and our way of life and the fans that are there. And the fans that we have are bringing in new fans and they're getting a kick out of it. And they're expanding their friendship because, hey, you're a new Fix fan. Great. Oh, yeah, let me learn from you. But politically, that doesn't, hey.
No, finish your thought.
Politically, we don't seem to get the thrill out of, the Republican and the Democrat having a nice chat in a bar.
No, the nice thing about social media is exactly what you just described. New fans discovering you, and it's easier to spread the word about shows and things like that. It's a double-edged sword for sure. And
really
for
is.
everyone out there, this is Bovine, my studio cat of 16 years.
Hey,
He hasn't
Bovine.
made an appearance yet because he usually sleeps all day.
He's nice
But I've had him forever. He's a good boy. And he just trashed my shirt.
Yeah, there you go.
You guys are going to have to excuse if you can see all the cat hair on my shirt.
We can't see it, but it might be bad for my allergies.
It's a crazy time, man.
It is, right?
And I just try to avoid, not to be, I just try to remove myself from thinking about it all the time.
Yeah, I mean, when you swim upstream, it's like it keeps leading to this. And here we are streaming on this platform that is also sharing the same space as all the other platforms.
Exactly.
And we're just saying, diss that, love this. But really, we're kind of swimming in the same river.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's our job to just kind of like keep the river flowing good, that people still feel like they want to jump in the discourse. And I know we get a lot of fans who are watching us in growing numbers now. Slowly,
they are, and
steady.
they love the fact that we keep it positive and fun. And I think we should strive to do that. There's enough negativity out there.
There is. And so it's back to this, isn't it?
I mean, oh, is that what your new song's about? I'm looking down here because that's how I can see Cy.
Yeah, something in these chords.
Let's hear it again because I was talking over it like an idiot. It's very nice.
That's the kind of mood I default to. That's my crow's nest.
Wish I had an acoustic piano. I'm jealous of that. How often do you have to have it tuned?
Well, more in the summer because the sun comes through the window in September in this place. So,
I mean, I have a beautiful Yamaha digital that you can't see. It's over there.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful piano. It's got wood keys with ivory tops. I mean, it's as close as you're going to get. But it's not the same. You sitting at a piano and feeling that vibration.
Yeah. I mean, I have to have the piano to get the inspiration, but the perspiration, like I turn around and then I'm facing you now, and under here is my technical version of that. And then I start to do that, but I have it all mic'd up. But I have to
you've sent me tracks with beautiful sounding acoustic piano. It's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, the digital ones are sounding better and better and better, but it's that physical aspect.
Man, it's a piano, an acoustic piano, an acoustic guitar. Any acoustic instrument is a living, breathing thing.
Yeah.
And it's you can get very close with a digital version, but it's not the same. I mean, I have digital versions of pianos where you let off the sustain pedal and you hear the thunk.
Yeah, right.
And they've gotten very good and very close. And you'd be hard pressed to necessarily pick one out in a recording, but as a player, that's where you really notice the difference.
As a performance. So when I'm talking to my agent and my manager about doing some solo shows with you, hopefully, or even on my own sometimes,
waiting for you.
I always say, the manager says, do you want a piano room? And I'm like, oh, well, it's a lot easier if there's no piano involved. Let's just take the sort of second best version of it and it's about the performance. But then, hold on, I've just shot myself in the foot. If we commit to a piano room and they tune it and you turn up and you're playing the piano and I'm standing there singing the way I want to, it's going to be a different experience than when it's just, that. But I don't know. People are sort of educated to see through it, a lot of it, because of the way in the rock world, and we've been seeing synthesizers on stage, and that's a different instrument. They create a different color. If you close your eyes and you get off on the whole soundscape, but just to be a lonely guy with a candlelight at a piano, you're going to feel something different.
It's totally different. And, unfortunately, you can get to these rooms where the piano's not in such great shape.
Yeah, that happens a lot.
That happens occasionally, or it's not tuned, or it's a quarter tone or an eighth tone out. And so if you're using any other kind of digital accompaniment, things are rubbing weird. And
and there was a guy up there last night DJing and he spilt his beer down the cracks and oops, doesn't tell
No,
the owner.
it's brutal. That's why, I don't know, when you do your solo thing, when we go out, I don't, well, first of all, you didn't really want to sit at a piano and play. You wanted to be more vocal.
Well, I
right?
do. I'm
Right. That's what I'm
looking to
saying. That's
stand.
why you want me to go, right?
Exactly. I love the piano to play at home, but live, I just want to be able to sing. That's what I'm kind of known as.
Yeah.
A singer. And yeah, I can play an instrument, but that's not the point. The point is transferring the guys that are lucky enough. I'm lucky enough to have been allowed to sing in their presence. We have there's a mutual respect there. I just bring in the emotional side of the words. And then if they glaze over, I go, okay, next, and I'll try another concept. And then like, oh, no, I don't really get this, next. But sometimes there are some songs that I'll start to sort of put a lyric out and they're like, what is this about?
Oh man, we should,
what is this about?
We should set some cameras up when you guys are doing that. I mean, you guys probably don't want to show your dirty underpants, but
yeah,
it would be really interesting because I've never even, as close as you and I are, I've never witnessed that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anyone really should.
No, you're probably right, but it is in this voyeuristic society we live in now. It would be, I'll bet you anything that our viewers would like to see something like that.
Oh, I'm sure they would. I mean, I will. I'm going off to rehearsals pretty soon. And
when are you leaving?
I'm leaving at the, I know we're going to be together like September 30 through October 4th, first stab at it. And then we'll be doing some more in Florida before the Florida show.
You should definitely set your camera up. A few weeks ago, the producer for one of the shows I work on here asked me if I would record some vocalists for a Christmas promotion that he was doing. So 3 singers came over and I set the camera up in the corner and just turned it on and didn't tell anybody.
Right.
And caught the whole thing. And it was really, because they're such funny guys and such great sense of humor. We got some really funny videos out of it.
Yeah. I mean, the fly on the wall stuff is really good. And
yeah.
I think that the best part of the fixed rehearsing is when there's no music being played and it's all the conversations and the
those are some of my favorite moments, hanging out with you guys in the bus or at the Sportsman's Lodge or something.
Yeah. What I'll do is I'll do the first day and the last day, so not to give people too many.
And you can always, if you have a temper tantrum, we can edit it out. But I have never, ever in 25 years seen you have a temper tantrum.
No, that's not our style, really.
I think that's really I don't think that happens.
No. I mean, the arguments are creative. And like I say, when you really believe in a concept of a song, or it's when the enigma hasn't quite hit pay dirt with the rest of the guys yet, and then eventually it comes around, they've heard it enough times, and then we start to build the song, and then they're singing the backing vocals, and like Abby's in the background there, and the cat's chorus.
No, that's actually bovine.
Okay, cat chorus. Yeah, so and then they'll go, oh, I get this. And there's quite a few songs in Fix famous halls of the past where people didn't quite see it or feel it at the beginning, and then it turned into something great. And that's a great experience too, when a year in, when somebody gets a song, even though they've done a great performance on it, it might not hit them in that place, and then it does. It gets a whole other set of wings. Like today, well, a lot of people, I have a love-hate relationship with the song "Are We Ourselves?" Okay,
you didn't play it in that one show. I was pissed.
I know it.
Maybe it was a #1 rock hit in this country. I know.
Maybe it's to do that it's only 2 minutes 40, and I'm like bouncing off the walls. Like it's so
suck it up for 2 minutes and 40, then, Cyril.
Somebody posted that it was like #1 on rock radio.
It was. That's what I'm saying. That's why I was like, how could you not play it?
So I go, now I know how big it was, and the sentiment of that song has grown to be undeniable to these days. Are We Ourselves Anymore is what it would be today. And so I'm jonesing to get that song out there. And I've actually played it in a solo set with a slightly grungier aspect to it, because I had
Interesting.
this guitarist who didn't quite have Jamie's panache to do the sort of dun, 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 dun. So he was more round, dun, dun, round, dun, 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 and it sounded completely different, but we did it, and I was like, wow. So I want to add the kind of weight, emotional weight that song needs.
It's a great song.
Yeah,
I mean, I remember,
you know.
I mean, in the Richard Blade interview, I tell the story of you coming to Vegas and not playing it and me being incensed.
Yeah, that's the love-hate thing of it.
And it's like, dude, it was a #1 record here. How are you not going to play it?
Well, it was something to do with, you know, when the set is just, there are moments where you want a little bit something else when you're trying to showcase other songs.
Well, yeah, you went heavy that show on the new record, the newest record.
And so it's them. But now we're getting back into what I'm realizing is that we have such a catalog where digging deep and bringing songs that we haven't played live ever and trying to make them work in today's set. It's a great thing. It's just like a new song, only the audience knows it.
Well, it's interesting. You have an interesting crowd because you have hardcore fans that want to hear the deep cuts.
Yeah.
And then, of course, there's casual fans that only know the hits.
Right.
So walking that, fine line is tricky, can be tricky.
Yeah, it can. So, just kind of moving around on that. So anyway, what else has been going on in your day, in your week?
Well, Debbie is gearing up for a surgery on her lady bits.
How's she doing?
She's fine. We had a pre-op thing yesterday. She might kill me for talking about this. I don't know. If she hates it, I'll edit it out. But it's a pretty major thing, and so we went to see the surgeon, and he explained everything in such great detail that I nearly fainted.
Wow!
I wish I would have gotten a little less detail. I went with her because she gets nervous and forgets to ask questions, and I had questions, and I didn't want her to come home from that and me ask her a question and her not be able to answer it. Because there's a lot of variables, with this particular thing. And man, he went into great detail and the blood drained from my face.
Oh, no.
But, that'll happen next week. And she'll have like a 6-week recovery. It'll be nice to have her around. And hopefully it's not too brutal. Yeah. So that's it, really.
Well, I wish her well ahead of time. And I'm sure I'll
you.
speak to her before then.
Yeah, that's really all that's going on here.
Wow.
Besides the usual nonsense. What about you?
Yeah, same thing. Been just planning on going to see my daughter in France. And she's been doing a lot of show jumping. And, it gets to a point where you got to train intensely with a certain horse and train. And then she's managing this hunting lodge as a sort of organizing the people booking in for the weekend, the cleaners coming after the weekend, make sure the pool's this and that. So the summer's just slowing down now. Yeah. And now's a good time for me to just go in. Plus it's her birthday. And I figure I just want to just.
Are you going when you go to England to rehearse with the guys?
Yeah, I think I'm going to go in and to France. Probably have to come back for a couple of days and then go off to England. I was trying to make it all one trip, but it doesn't look like it's going to be that.
So we're going to be shooting an episode or two with you in the UK.
Yeah, we'll have to try that out. It'll be different hotel rooms.
Yeah, I don't see why we can, as long as you got decent Wi-Fi.
Yeah. Well, the Wi-Fi is all right, actually. I found this one hotel I used to stay near the rehearsal rooms called the Grimsdyke. It used to belong to, it was the house of, you remember Gilbert and Sullivan, the guys that wrote those operettas?
Of course.
So Gilbert was the guy that owned it. And in his career, they obviously made a lot of money as songwriters. And he was passionate about trees. And his last home that he bought before he died was this stately home that he turned into an arboreum and a collection of weird trees.
That sounds amazing.
But then he went and drowned in our New Year's party and in his own house and in the dike. It's called Grimsdyke Hotel.
So he's the ghost haunting the.
Yeah. And you hear a lot of, they keep doing little mini operettas there every Tuesday night. So you get all these amateur hamdrams coming in So you're coming out of your room and there's some guy rushing around in a strange costume, changing because he's playing 6 roles in one show. And it's like very lively, but their Wi-Fi sucks. So I found another place that's not near there, but I'll go there.
So is that in London?
Yeah, it's in Richmond is where this other place. But we'll be at Nick's studio, Space House, where we recorded,
Is that where you're rehearsing?
Yeah, we rehearse, and it's low key. It's like a great little studio.
Yeah,
in his backyard, and you don't want the meter to be the biggest instrument in the room.
Definitely not.
Been there, done that in our careers, and probably still paying the record company back for some of the expenses.
You don't want to have to watch the clock. It inhibits creativity.
Yeah, so we go there, and it's a really fantastic environment for that. And so we do that. Great place to rehearse. And then we'll come back here, and then we'll probably rehearse in Tampa for a few days before the show kicking off there.
Yeah, that's where you're starting, right?
Yeah, it's been almost like a year off this year. We haven't done much, but we're looking to do a lot more next year. But some years it's just the way it is. A lot of bands were suddenly out. Bus prices were ridiculous and heat waves. And it's like, I'm glad we weren't out there melting.
No kidding. Doing the Shed tour this summer was just brutal.
Right. How can
for everyone, I know a lot of guys that both players and crew that do those tours, and man.
And audiences.
Yeah, well, true. Everyone's suffering.
Jesus. I guess we'll just be doing virtual tours in the end, like in the air-conditioned, numbness of your...
Todd Rundgren beat everybody to it.
Yeah, he did. He did that tour, didn't he? I wonder how that worked out. In fact, we should get Chasm on. Good friend of mine. He was on tour with us last tour we were out. Let's have him on and we'll ask him how that went.
That's right. He was your opening act. Yeah, I would love to have him on.
He was at the first show we ever did in New York as a Fix fan, then in 1982. I remember him coming up, "Hey, I'm Chasm Sultan. I play in Utopia." I was like, wow.
Does he still play in Todd's band now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's still there, right there with him. Fantastic. Lovely guy. Real gentleman. Super sweet. So we'll have him on.
He's American, right?
He's American, yeah, but I think he has some Middle Eastern origins as well. We'll ask him about that too. I keep forgetting his Iranian.
What kind of thing did he do for his opening slot? Was it like an acoustic set?
Yeah, just acoustic, gentle singing. Really good voice. Nothing like you'd that he's done with Todd, but he plays stand-up bass for Todd. Not stand-up bass, but stand-out bass.
Yeah, yeah.
It sings well, and Todd's very loyal. Got the same band.
Yeah.
I love playing with Todd too. Last time we saw him was in Milwaukee. He was like, "Oh, we should do this again soon."
Talk about
please.
That guy is always on the road. I mean, he's touring constantly. Constantly. I don't know how he does it. It's exhausting.
Well, when it's in your veins, you can't rest.
Yeah. It's exhausting just looking at his schedule,
Yeah, I'll tell you what's exhausting is being sat at home talking about what you do rather than doing it. That's exhausting because, then it's back to this. Whatever.
Yeah.
Which soothes the ragged soul, but it only goes so far. If no one's there to hear it, when a tree falls in the woods and no one's there to hear it, does it make a bloody difference? Yeah, man. So that's it. I've been living around, and then Tisha was talking the other day. There's this, that website called Nextdoor.
Yeah.
So we were talking about how the comments seem to be almost ridiculous to a point where somebody will say, just genuinely, "Hey, all you cat owners, be careful. There's coyotes out there. So make sure your cat's in." And someone says, "Coyotes are allowed to be there." It's like, no one's saying they're not.
Yeah, no, I'm on that, but I never look at it because you're right. It's ridiculous.
Yeah,
someone, people will sound the alarm if a car drives down the street that they don't recognize.
Right.
And they'll send out this panicked message, alerting their neighbors that there's a strange car driving down the street. I mean,
oh God.
Yeah, I can't deal with the scared old people.
I mean, it's just become like everyone on the loud hailer. It's back to that, that sanity level. There's common sense, and then there's a kind of naivety.
The crazy village old lady, who would yell things out her window. Well, now she has a microphone and a computer and she can yell it to the world through social media.
I mean, the thing is, these alerts, you have to police the alerts. Otherwise, everyone's vying for your attention. It's like notifications coming up on your screen. I've had to shut them all off because
I have them all off.
I know everything is going on all the time. And I'm like, all I want to know is how my team Chelsea are doing, who they're trading, and how they're planning for the next game. And I'm pissed off right now because it's an international break where our best players go off and get injured playing a meaningless game for their country.
Right. It's like the All-Star games here.
Oh, God.
Yeah, no, I have all the notifications. I have text with only my favorites, so people that I communicate regularly. Yeah. And then I have weather alerts because we get these crazy monsoons here out of nowhere occasionally. Yeah.
What, do you go out with your tongue hanging out?
No, you just there's certain streets that you avoid because they flood really quickly. So if there's a monsoon, and you have to go somewhere, you just know what streets to avoid.
Yeah, is that where that place called Noah's Way?
Yeah.
Ark Passage and Laurel Bush Dove.
Yeah, there's crazy flash flooding here because, it's so dry and then it dumps that monsoon rain and it just has nowhere to go.
Man. Yeah, so what was I going to say? Yeah, so getting back to Chelsea, though, I just picked up this book. I heard he was a sports writer in Tampa in the 80s, and he started realizing how fund managers and analytics guys were getting together to analyze performance of teams and really how to make money. And generally, rising tide lifts all boats, but rising tide lifts all dollars invested in, what was a sport for people that would turn up, whether your team was doing well or not. There was a bond, and you suffered with them and you celebrated with them when you did well. And particularly, he uses Liverpool Football Club as the opening example of how the corporate guy whose opening statement is, I didn't even want to own a soccer team, football team. I know nothing about football, but he owned the Boston Red Sox and all those other amazing American sports franchises. And he went and invested in with these concepts and these analytic guys. And Liverpool went on and did really, really well with all the investments. But it's kind of like, and then other teams started to copycat. Mm-hmm. And being a Chelsea fan since I was 4 years old, when Mr. Davis, the grocer, was coming around the back alley of our house to drop off some groceries for my mum. They were childless, the couple, Mr. and Mrs. Davis. And he bent down, and I remember he gave me this blue rosette, and he goes, "Here you go, Cyril. This is a rosette, a Chelsea rosette." And I was like, "What's a rosette? What's Chelsea? What's football?" But I sort of just liked the gift. And from then on, my love of Chelsea was born. So to this day, that's Chelsea, but I've watched them go up and up and up and up. And now at the moment they're through transition, but it's all about these freaking analytics. And it was recently bought by this Clear Lake Capital out of California, now owns this UK London team, my team. And they're really, I wonder if they know what they're doing.
Well, it's like a hedge fund for sports teams, right?
Yeah.
You've got somebody analyzing a bunch of stocks and looking into the companies and then putting together a portfolio. I mean, that's how they're treating these teams.
It's profit.
And recruiting different players based on stats. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, stats. Yeah. And then they bring up a young kid and then buy him for Y, sell him for X, or the other way around. That's why I lose money.
It takes some of the fun out of it.
It really has. And I'm really trying hard to sort of just look at it every week. There's the game. May Chelsea win and do well. But behind it is this kind of, again, I'm reading it online, but every fan's got a comment. Everyone's good. It's like a dog's dinner of opinions out there.
Yeah, no. The worst thing in the world is giving everyone a speaking platform.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, my
I mean,
God.
we all have friends where it's like, don't talk at the dinner party.
Yeah.
Don't say too much.
Yeah, if everybody writes on the blackboard at once, it's like, it's nonsense. It's, it's a mandala that we're filling in one at a time. Take your time. But, anyway.
Yeah. I mean, everything has been
chewed on,
inundated with technologies that's allowed all of this to happen.
And there's some stupid ones out there too. You see these apps that have come and gone. I can't think of them now, but there, one that was restaurants that had open tables at 8 p.m. on any given night, and they wanted to sort of do a bucket sale of last minute. Hey, we're taking reservations when we were really snooty to you last week and said, no, I don't think we could take you. And then there was a cancellation, and all of a sudden they're begging for your business. So that app, but I don't think it flew. There are a lot of apps that just come and go, right?
Yeah, there's so much of it out there.
Yeah. And the comments, the people that leave comments or reviews on like TripAdvisor or something like that, they're kind of busting to say something negative because they're those kind of people. They don't have they don't have an arena for their acid.
Which actually speaks really positively for our audience, because I haven't had to block anybody that I can think of. Like the comments, to both the videos and the Facebook site and all that are overwhelmingly positive.
Why not? Just wait. We need some. No,
we're not asking for it.
No, we're not. But you
get to a certain level, and of course you're going to have it, right?
Yeah, if we're growing, we'll get that. It's like the same in the fix world,
Yeah.
Good reviews. In the old days, there'd be a great review of your new album.
Right.
And then you'd be depressed all week from the bad review, and you'd obsess on the bad review. It would hurt that much more. The good review would I feel good. Oh.
I mean, there's a lot of people. I watch a lot of podcasts and a lot of, YouTube stuff. And the general consensus among the most popular people in those arenas is they just avoid the comments altogether.
Yeah.
As to not aggravate themselves or to get into their own head. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's me now. I mean, I've made a real yesterday I spent less than 30 minutes on my phone as
That's good.
Conscious effort not to dig into the noise out there. Just build my own thoughts, trust what I trust in, and hope for what I want to hope in, and expect sort of little, because then the outcome is a little bit more hopeful.
Sure.
Sit at this piano a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
And then the only thing I've been looking at is the sort of arts section of The Guardian, and reading the books and the music reviews, because there's a lot of people putting good stuff out there and you can't catch it all.
Yeah, true.
So there's a lot of new books that I'm excited to read with the winter months coming on.
Yeah, you sent me one this morning and I replied, what?
Yeah.
Which I didn't. How a terrible reply. Yeah. You had to think that was odd.
I did.
Yeah, because it wasn't me and it's not who I am. And so it was like, when I looked at it, I was horrified.
Yeah, I thought, God. I thought, what's he doing? It's going to be a great conversation today. He's going to
bother me with this nonsense.
Yeah, he's going to have his ass on his face today, and I'm just going to be saying, "Here's some toilet paper. Go wipe that look off your face."
I always have my ass on my face. It's just my resting bitch face. Gets me in trouble all the time.
I know. I was like, been waiting for this. Got a new little plant, and.
Oh, yeah.
And I was waiting for it. It was actually delivered by UPS because for some reason I couldn't find this actual size that I wanted. And the UPS guy at the weekend doesn't have the door code.
Oh,
but the weekday person has.
So what do they do with it?
I don't know. It doesn't seem to be in the system. Like the weekend guy kept saying, "Well, tried to deliver." So today I was
they just don't deliver then. They don't just leave it outside.
No, they just take it back. And I was like, I wonder why UPS's uniforms are brown. I wanted to say to you guys drive around in brown trucks with brown uniforms on. just to remind you of what you shouldn't be.
Mm.
You know.
So you had to wait for your plant.
Yeah, but I got my plant. I used to have another one back there. I like a little bit of green in the background. So
yeah,
this is a slightly smaller version of what I had, but the other
I
one
like
belonged
all
to
the electronics and things to just suck all the energy from my brain. It's all I have going on in here.
humming. Yeah,
Really
well,
could use a
the
few
other plant
plants.
got snagged back by Sebastian, who's taking it back to his dorm room.
Oh.
So I had to replace it because we've started these things and there was always a bit of green over my right shoulder. So there you go.
I like it.
Yeah, man. Well, how are we doing for time?
We're, I think we're about out of time. I want to thank all of the new Facebook people. We've had a lot of people come on board our Facebook page and a lot of interaction from some really great people.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And, we want to encourage those of you who watch the episodes to subscribe.
Yeah, please keep going with that. That's a really important
that's
thing.
important for, the whole YouTube nonsense. But it's been great, man. The interaction's really great. There's some super cool people that are involved and staying involved in the conversations. And we got a ton of amazing responses to Megan's episode.
Yeah, that was great. That was
I
great.
I got texts from my mom, my sister, and my niece about that episode. And, they were just so impressed with her. And of course, all the public comments and things like that. That was very well received.
You know what hit me the most about that was, obviously she's really good about speaking about her life, but there's a sense of bravery that she exudes that it's just so matter of fact that it makes you feel like, God, what am I griping about? Like she really goes up a mountain, she deals with this, she's dealt with that. And it's triggered it hit people in the right way because the comments we got were like, wow,
it really resonated with people. And, and so, thank you, Megan, for that. That was terrific. We'll have her on again when she completes her Arctic and her book too, which I'm really looking forward to.
Yeah, let's see where she's at with that when that time comes.
Yeah, we have more guests lined up. We're not going to do it every week.
No,
but
we'll surprise you. But I've got a few guests sort of all lined up, and we'll pepper them in as we go.
Yeah, and I've gotten several messages of people asking about merchandise, like our little podcast guy shirts and mugs. So we're looking into that now too.
Great.
To see if anyone wants to do. We've gotten, people seem to like that little guy, which I did immediately. It was like, this is going to be it. Perfect.
He's perfect. And the first time I saw that little sketch, I went, that speaks.
So we're working on that too. And we're just going to keep going, man.
I'm really happy.
And we're really, really grateful for those of you that are watching and interacting. Tell your friends.
And people get to share in our mutual therapy session.
It's nice.
I call it complementary medicine.
Right.
We complement each other and then we feel better at the end of it. Yeah, man.
Nah, it's a lot of fun. And we're looking at doing all kinds. I mean, Cy and I brainstorm all the time about, when we do his solo thing, filming a lot of content of the rehearsals and the shows and the travel and stuff, which I think would be fun.
Blended in.
So lots more stuff to come.
Very good. All right, my man. I am going to go and see a man about a dog.
Yeah, go do that. And it's great to see you as always.
Yeah, my love.
And I'm sure I'll catch up with you later on today.
Yes, sir.
All right, Cyril.
Lots of love.
Love you. Bye-bye.
Love you. Bye-bye.